Hello, in this session we're going to discuss some more about material planning. We're going to go into our workbench and we're going to see what planned orders need to be released and look at a few other things in the workbench as well. So from your material planner responsibility, let's go down to MRP Workbench, and open our form. In this case we'll use this particular plan, and we'll go into our supply demand screen. Normally you're going to search based on specific criteria, such as perhaps an item category, or what I often see is a planner code or planning group. This will be determined on what you are responsible for. You could be in a situation where you're responsible for everything in planning. If that's the case, then you may just want to run the query blind or wide open, as the term is called. If that's the case, you would just come down while not putting anything in here and hit the find button. Now be careful, do this sparingly, because if you're in a large instance with a lot of data, this query could take a long time. We're in a test instance that I have checked out, and it shouldn't take but a moment for this query to run. And here we see our results, and of course the system is providing a lot of detail, telling you that you need to cancel a lot of things. This is again a test vision instance where there's not a lot of activity, therefore the system is basing its recommendations on that lack of activity. And you could scroll down through here and you could find some other actions. We have some demand, and we have one or two none actions, and of course many cancel actions. Alright, so let's go back and let's run a query based on some specifics. One of the ones that I like to use is order type. So if we put in order type, type in an E for equals, and we're going to do a planned order. So come down and do a planned order, and we'll just see if any of those are out there. Okay, so here we have some planned orders, and if we select one, we can go over and see that it can be released. But before I do that, I want to check to see what my plan says. So if I look at my horizontal plan, I see that there's quite a bit of dependent demand, several of course requirements. We have demand from WIP, and we don't have a lot of supply. So basically it's telling us we've got some scheduled receipts, and we've got a beginning on hand balance. This is our total supply, and it's based on planned orders that we need to release for this quantity. So if I close this out, I come back here, and it looks like it wants to order everything at once, which that could very well be the case. I could select this for release, and then the system's going to put in an implementation date. It looks like this is an assembly that has to be built because it wants to create a discrete job. But keep in mind here, if I didn't want to do a job, if I wanted to purchase them instead, it would give me that capability. It would create either a requisition or a job based on my selection here. In this case, we'll just leave it as job. One other thing I can look at is my release details. If I wanted to go ahead and release this as a released work order so that they could begin work immediately, we could do so. I could also firm it up and basically tell the plan that we're definitely going to do this work order, and I've firmed it, so don't change it, don't offer any other suggestions regarding this work order. It's going to get done. And it would also give us the next job number available from the system. Now, if I were to implement this as a requisition, let's just say this was an assembly that I could purchase as well, I could come into my release details and find out that I've not set up myself as an employee. But no problem, it could still work. I could still firm this up. I could pick a supplier. Let's try to search for a supplier. And let's say we could get this from Allied Manufacturing. And we could even put in a supplier site for the site we want to get it from. Alright, and if I do all of this and say OK, then when that requisition gets created, it would have that information in it. Or I could default back and let's just create the job that we intended to create the first time. And reset my settings back, so I have to go back in and set that to released. But it did keep my firm setting. Alright, once that's done, I can select release, and it will begin a background process once I save my work. And it's created a new job, and this is the ID that it loaded under. If I were to go to my requests, I could view that whip mass load, and it might take a few minutes depending on the load of the system. This is a test instance, and I don't think the managers are quite working, but this would complete eventually with a status of normal, and then you would have the job available for you to work on in production. Alright, so that concludes this lesson on releasing orders from your MRP Workbench.